Yalda, a Syriac word adopted into the Persian language of Farsi, meaning birth. The word Yalda, a relatively recent addition, refers to the Persian celebration of the Winter Solstice, Shab-e Cheleh, which commonly falls on the 21st of December in the Gregorian Calendar. This uniquely significant night has been celebrated in countless cultures for thousands of years. The ancient Roman festivals of Saturnalia celebrating Saturn, the god of agriculture, and Sol Invicta, which celebrated the sun god, are amongst the best known in the Western world. But how did this ancient celebration of the triumph of light over darkness become the festival that present-day Iranians around the world celebrate today? Join us as we take a brief journey back in time through ancient petroglyphs and to the mountains of Alborz and begin unlocking the history of one of the most well-regarded Persian nights of celebration, Shab-e Yalda. Chapter 1. The Origin of Yalda. According to Persian folklore, there are 3 Chelehs in a year, one in the summer, Cheleh Tabastan, and 2 in the winter. The summer Cheleh begins on the 1st of Tyr, or the 21st of June in the Gregorian Calendar, also known as the summer solstice, and ends on the 5th of Mordad, or the 26th of July. The summer Cheleh lasts only 35 days, as it does not carry the same significance of its winter counterparts. The winter Chelehs are called Cheleh Bozorg, the Great Cheleh, and Cheleh Kuchik, the Small Cheleh. The Great Cheleh begins on the first day of winter, that is the 1st of day or the 21st of December, and lasts 40 days to the 11th of Bahman or the 30th of January. The Lesser Cheleh begins on the 10th of Bahman and lasts 20 days and 20 nights, hence the word Cheleh, which in Farsi means 40. The Lesser Cheleh ends on the last day of Bahman or the 20th of February. The coldest days of winter are the last 4 days of the Greater Cheleh and the first 4 days of the Lesser Cheleh, and are therefore called Char Char, or in the Persian language meaning 4-4. It is said that the 2 Chelehs are 2 quarreling brothers called Ammon and Bahman, who argue during a period of Char Char. The younger brother Bahman scores his older sibling Ammon for not having caused a severe enough cold to hurt the people and their flocks. He says to his brother, "If I had as much time as you do, I would have made the weather so cold that unborn colts would freeze in their mother's wombs." His older brother responds, "You can't do anything because the spring arrives on your heels." The first night of the Greater Cheleh is called Shab-e Cheleh, or Shab-e Yalda, and is the occasion of special ceremonies. Traditionally, this is a special night of the year for Iranians, when friends and family gather together to eat, drink, and read poetry until well after midnight. Fruits and nuts are eaten, and pomegranates and watermelons are particularly significant. The red color in these fruits symbolizes the crimson hues of dawn and the glow of life. It is believed that consuming these fruits on the night of Cheleh will ensure one's health and well-being during the months of summer by protecting them from falling victim to heat or disease. After dinner, the older individuals entertain the others by telling them tales and anecdotes. Another favorite and prevalent pastime of the night of Cheleh is the divination by the fall of Hafez, a book which can be found in the bookcases of many Iranian families. But like the word Yalda itself, the reading of Fall of Hafez is only as recent as the poet. With this celebration having roots in ancient Persia, how would those early Persians have their fortune told on the night of Cheleh? Chapter 2. Before Fall of Hafez. For Persian families, fall, or fortune-telling, is less of a superstitious practice, and more so one that celebrates good tidings during times of celebration. And Shab-e Yalda is no exception to this rule, with the Persian elders reciting the late poet's works in hope for good tidings for all friends, family, and loved ones for the coming season. But with roots that predate the poet himself, which didn't come into play until the 14th century, early Persians found their divinations in a different place, and only had to look as far as the table setting. Fale puste hendune, or watermelon peel fortune-telling. In this form of fortune-telling, one would cut the peel of the watermelon into 4 pieces and throw them from the front to back, and based on which side was up, would foretell their future. 2 green sides and 2 white sides would signify a good omen, which is okay. 1 green and 3 white sides would not be so good. 4 white sides would signify a bad omen. 3 green and 1 white, a good omen, and 4 green would be a picture of one's magnificent future, and life would be in your favor. Fale gerdu, walnut fortune-telling. In this form of fortune-telling, attendees would pluck a walnut from the table setting, cracking them open. The robustness or hollowness of the contents within would foretell their future for the season to come. Fale kuze, jug fortune-telling. The night prior to Yalda, every attendee would place an object or an item into a jug or kuze. On the Yalda night celebration, a person would recite poetry as they pulled the objects out of the jug, one at a time. Then each poem that was read would be considered the fortune or the fall of the person whom the items belonged to. Needle fortune-telling, fale Suzanne. The guests would sit around the room as an elder attendee would continuously recite poetry. At the end of each verse, a very young girl would put a needle in a brand new and uncut piece of fabric, and each guest, respectively in order of sitting, would consider the verse as their own. Later on in the 14th century AD, Fala Hafez became a staple part of Shab-e Yalda. Chapter 3: The Sacred Cypress Trees. Cypress trees have a very special place in Persian culture and poetry. When analyzing petroglyphs about the myth of the birth of Mehr, or Mitra, it shows that Mitra was born from a pine tree. In these petroglyphs, the branches have grown from the cypress tree, and on top of each branch is a pine, and in the middle of each pine, the head of Mitra, the Persian god of light and the rising sun, contracts, covenants, and friendship. Mitra oversaw the orderly change of the seasons, maintained cosmic order, and bestowed divine grace upon kings. Pine, cypress, and juniper trees as evergreens are always fresh, exuberant, and resilient. Autumn and winter can't seem to harm the tree. Thus, in Persian culture, they have become symbols of perseverance, strength, and merriment. When the ancient Persian witnessed the glow of the sun rising on the mountain peaks above the lines of evergreen trees, they were in the belief that the sun, or Mitra, was born from this tree. As they celebrated, people would make a wish while hanging silk and wool fabrics, golden and silver fabrics, symbolizing the moon and the sun, upon evergreen trees in hopes that their wish would come true. A practice which many scholars believe to be a precursor to the modern decoration of trees. While the chasm of knowledge and history runs ever deep, our time with you today does not. Thus, as our show concludes, know that there is more knowledge and history about the ancient practices of Persia and the Shab-e-Cheleh or Yalda to be found. Join us again as we continue on our quest in unlocking the history of ancient civilizations and culture.